welcome to Basically MTG, where we discuss, well, basically MTG. My name is Synergistic and I will be joined by Nate and Reptile from the channel to discuss today's topic, High Power EDH versus cEDH. We'll be discussing what High Power EDH means to us and try to provide a clear distinction between it and cEDH. Before we start the conversation, and we can all say it together, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. Let us know down below in the comment section what you think about the conversation and what your definition of high power is, or what the real difference between High Power EDH and cEDH really is. Alright, let's jump into the conversation.
Cool. So the main difference that I've found from cEDH and High Power and what kind of helped me define it is a lot of the strategies in High Power are very unique, or they're built around a certain theme, but I still see a lot of the staple cards that I would in cEDH, like Mana Crypt, Demonic Tutor, a lot of the Mana Rocks, and even some of the same win conditions, like even High Power I still see Thassa's Oracle, but it seems to be geared more towards like a more creative aspect where you're kind of limited in the cEDH frame because you want to do the things that are efficient. And there's only so many things that you can do that are efficient, as opposed to High Power, you're using a lot of strong cards to make a somewhat weaker strategy more impactful and actually playable.
Okay, this might be an area we actually disagree on right off the bat. So I hear what you're saying and I see what you're saying when it comes to like what your definition of high power is. I guess I disagree in the sense that because you can add, like, we've seen the Mir decks add Anawan, such like Anawan, add Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation. Those colors it's pretty easy for those colors to get those cards because black has a lot of tutors and blue has a bunch of card draws, right? So those kind of decks, they're able to find the A plus B combos really easily, which makes those decks, I think, you know, cEDH decks, whatever. I mean, I was thinking with like that kind of strategy, and this is not to like say like an insult to like, you know, those decks or anything, but I think those are just really bad cEDH decks, not necessarily high power. I guess that's how I think about it, because if you have an A plus B combo, you can take that to a tournament and you can potentially do good on it, depending on, you know, the pots and whatnot. It's just really bad. Versus a high power one, I think it's just something versus that doesn't necessarily have A plus B combos or A plus B plus C combos where C is your commander. And this is like an example of like Kinnan, right? Kinnan Basalt and Mana Sink would be a A plus C combo, A plus B plus C combo of your commander, where A plus B combo would be Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation, Dockside, Emil, etc., etc. So I guess that's how I view it real quickly, and then I guess you can ask for Nate how he views it, and then we can like potentially between us three find some common ground.
Cool.
I don't know. I have a hard time with like High Power and cEDH. My preferred playing format is cEDH because then there's no question. It's just I'm here to win. I'm trying to win. All my cards are optimized for me to win and to make sure that you don't win. And then when we drop it down to High Power and we look at some of the lists from the games that we've played together, I'm pretty sure none of my lists are on Mana Crypt, Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox, Mox Amber. I think Sol Ring's there, but is Sol Ring high power or is it a cEDH card? And just being able to tell, like, it's a fine line of what's what and where. So I guess I had a list, I gotta find it, I'll try to find it here when I'm not talking, that like someone on Reddit broke down like the power levels. It's like 10 through 1. And like 1 through 5 is like, number 1 is just a bunch of random cards, 100 random cards, and you're just trying to play Magic. And then like the middle is your game plan's a little bit more focused, and some of the cards in your deck are aiming more towards that progression of finishing up the game and what you're after. And then the higher you climb on the chart, it's like the cards, there's like, you're trimming the fat away, your lands are shock lands or lands that come in untapped versus tap lands when you're playing more casual stuff. Like all the precons come with casual or tap lands. And those are usually the first things to go when you start upgrading your deck to being a little bit more stronger. So I'll find that chart and we could read some of the different levels of what the power rankings are per Reddit. You know, Reddit's always...
Yeah, there was with them. We have talked about that power level before, 1 to 10 in, I think it might have been, I don't remember when we talked about it. So it's been
one
so
of the
long.
first 2 episodes, yeah.
Before Nate's time, where we kind of went through what we thought about the power list. I guess that's, you know, 5 months after the fact, we still struggle to define it. And it's interesting to me that us three, we all have different cEDH backgrounds and whatnot. When we have guests over that play with us, the first question that they will ask me is, when we ask them to play high power, is, what do you mean by high power? Can you define high power for me? And I will be like, I don't know. So it's this is not something we're just like, just talk about the same thing 5 different times. It's honestly like something, I guess we genuinely do not know how to like define it. In our meta, or our group of people that we talk to, or the store that we go to, like it's something we struggle to define. So I guess kind of going to the I guess we can talk about it case by case, where can we agree that some decks are usually, or some strategies are usually better than others? Yes, right? I think we can agree on that, more or less. There's more cards. Some cards are more efficient than others. I think anything that you can do at instant speed, generally stronger than anything you do at sorcery speed. So like if there's a instant speed war wipe, that will be much stronger than a sorcery speed war wipe. So there's more efficient cards, right? More or less.
Agreed. Yeah.
There's also like fastest ways to ramp out your cards, be that mana. Rocks are generally more effective at having quote unquote faster mana available than like a rampant growth effect that will take a turn to like do anything. So for example, Soul Ring might be stronger in the earlier games than a rampant growth effect, because you're able to potentially use the 2 mana right away. Okay, I feel like that's like the foundation of like going to like high power essentially. Now I guess I draw the line when it comes to like combos. None of my decks that I do high powers on have combos in them, more like mates, but I do include like mana rocks and tutors and a bunch of them, which is I guess differs from your decks, Nate. So I guess I don't know if I would consider your decks that don't have efficient tutors or fast mana like high power.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they're high power fringe for sure. I'd say, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm not a fan of the format. Yeah. I mean, I like playing cards, sure, but if I was to take my EDH decks versus my cEDH decks, I have 2 to 3 times more cEDH decks put together or proxied out or completed than I do any of my casual stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a format for everybody, right? I think a lot of people, there's actually a vast majority of people that actually do enjoy mostly the casual gameplay, the tabletop battle cruiser, whatever the hell it's called, magic. So I guess
Go ahead.
No, yeah. So I guess Reptile, do we agree to the point where we're at right now in the conversation, where potentially, fast mana, tutors. I haven't mentioned combos yet because we probably differ on if we're adding combos make something cEDH versus not.
Yeah.
But up to the point we kind of agree, like the bare minimum for high power, you need to at least have these cards.
I think I can agree, on that sense, and it does make sense what you were just saying when you were describing like the battle cruiser. A lot of what these cards ultimately do is just swing the tempo of the game in your favor.
Right.
Like you said before about rampant growth effects, where you have to wait another turn, and then that turn where you have to wait gives an opportunity for a lot more interaction, as opposed to, if someone is even playing counter spells but they don't have free counter spells, if you're able to present a board state they can't really deal with on turn 2, and that can be done pretty often with cEDH decks, then it's kind of, it doesn't even really matter at that point. You kind of just take control of the game, and I think that more than anything ends up skewing games toward where people don't like it as much, because you never get the opportunity if a deck is consistently out-tempoing you by 4 to 5 turns, because they're ramping and then they're playing out their threats, and you never actually get to play your deck.
Yeah, and
really.
we've kind of seen that, right? I think by now the gameplay of us playing some high power games, Nate kept I think you used your Maelstrom Wanderer game, Nate, where you ramped. You did a really cool thing one turn, and then before you were able to untap, the following turn you were dead. So
from a deflecting slot, which is a free spell to cast, no mana was required. So
yeah,
But I guess
Which is-
it's high,
Yep.
high power. So maybe I should just put Force of Will and all my cheap free interaction in all my decks from now on.
That's honestly, that's kind of what I think. But I guess, you know, even like right now, we still have a different perspective of like what actually high power is, because I guess you think about it in like sense of like you're gonna actually spend mana to cast your spells, and you're gonna be like you're gonna play like you're gonna ramp at the velocity you're supposed to ramp, right? You're not gonna like burst out mana, which is what some of the mana rocks does. So I guess even now we still have even like slight disagreements.
I found this.
obviously-
I was looking up this little article. Sorry not to interrupt you.
Sure.
So this has low, mid, high, and cEDH. Their definition of high power is the goal is to win nearly anything goes in. High powered play with the caveat that you aren't actually playing cEDH decks. That means you don't want to win so quickly and consistently that other high powered decks aren't able to keep up. You do have to play a lot of interaction, and it will be harder to compete in high powered play without playing any combo at all. This is where outdated cEDH commanders and strategies end up and then have become obsolete in cEDH.
Who is this by? Just so we can give credit to whoever.
This is from Cool Stuff Inc.
Okay, cool something.
I think that's actually not a bad definition.
Yeah, I mean, reading it kind of makes sense too.
Yeah.
It kind of goes in line of what I was saying before about a lot of these seem like fringe cEDH decks.
Yeah, it's
Or
like,
certain strategies that are good, but they're not good enough to be cEDH, so they almost get sectioned off into this gray area where they're too good for high power, but too bad for cEDH, so they don't really get a place to shine.
So right where
Yeah.
Tymna and Thrasios belongs.
Thrasios, damn.
yeah,
Shots
that's kind of
fired.
me.
I'm just kidding. Come on, let's have some fun, boys.
Yeah, I guess I kind of agree with most of it. I don't know if I agree with like you're not trying to win, because if you have Force of Will and you have like Doxa and you have all these cool, you know, all these strong cards, you know, your intent is to win. Otherwise, why are you building like a freaking battle cruiser deck, wheels and random garbage, but ineffective strategies? I guess that's the only aspect of it that I disagree. I agree with the fact that it doesn't have any combos. So like, I guess that reinforces my view of like, if you have a combo in your deck, that's A plus B and then the C case. I think that's cEDH is just a really bad cEDH case. Because there is combo, there's like cards that like require like a gazillion cards, right? You need like, for example, like in John, you can usually play the Resembling Skeleton combo. You need Pitiless Plunderer. You need one of the crypts, what the fuck is it called?
Altars?
Altars, yeah. I guess that's 3 cards, and that one's pretty hard to pull off. Well, it's not very hard, but it is difficult. And then you need a stack creature as well. So it's like 4 3-pieces. So I guess I kind of agree with the fact with no combos. I guess we can, I don't know, start not doing combos for high power games. That might be more fun.
Didn't
They
the
just need
definition
to-
say that it's often hard to win without combos in this meta?
It'll be harder to compete in high-powered play without playing any combos at all. So, I mean, I feel like, you know, if it's a 4-card combo, sure, whatever. But, I mean, I guess at the same time, too, if you're playing, like, a 5-color deck, you just get your Enlightened Tutor to go get the artifact you need, your Mystical Tutor to get the spell you need, your Worldly Tutor to get that creature, and then you got all 4 of your cards in hand already.
Yeah, but you spent 4 cards to get 4 other cards, so it's like a total of like 8 cards that needed for this to happen, plus a bunch of turns. So I don't know. I guess I like that definition more than what we currently been using of like, I don't know, bring
Yeah, I
whatever,
mean-
bro, bring whatever.
I usually just look on Moxfield and type in a commander that I'm interested in playing and say high power, and then just kind of look over their list and go, all right, cool, that works.
Yeah, because I've definitely like, I guess you can even see our previous decks, like Nate and I do not put any like, we do nothing like turns 1 through 5. We sit there and like ramp put artifacts or sliding
Yeah, that was
interaction.
surprising. Whenever
Yeah.
I saw that, I was like, oh. I mean, I guess it wasn't really ramping up because I believe I was playing Shauna that game. I just had a Birds of Paradise, and then there's like a Sylvan Library, so...
Yeah. So I guess we've kind of come to an agreement, I guess, between ourselves. Obviously, if you disagree with us on this, on what it is, what the actual high power definition is, let us know. I even like French commanders. I don't know if I agree with that. to be frank. So we have like, all right, let's just look at this, like the cEDH tier list, right? We have Tin of Trash at the top. Then if you skip all the way down to the fucking bottom, we have Nagila, and then above that is Kinnan. And then anything below that is just like really like bad decks, I guess, bad cEDH decks.
Yeah.
So like anybody that runs like, look at that garbage.
Yeah. Oh, Nimrus. Yeah, dude, Nimrus is sick. I like Nimrus.
Any decks that like say any Dimir decks, right? Any like a zombie Dimir deck that runs like.
Let's give him the sneak peek of the newest cEDH deck that's going to be coming out. Coma Cosmos Serpent.
Okay, so for example, if you're running Coma, right? Obviously, I don't know how strong that is, but just as an example, instead of like a Kinnan deck, right? That's supposed to like burst out mana really quickly. I would put Coma still, even though it's cEDH, because how does it combo? It stacks, right? I assume.
Yeah, it stacks with Winter, like kind of like Urza is able to tap and abuse Trinisphere and Winter Orb and Static Orb and a lot of those things. Coma's able to do the same thing while applying the board pressure in a stack stout. Eventually, you're just going to get through with combat damage if the table's stacked out. So.
Does it have any combos?
No, not really. I mean, I guess it can. It's really like four-piece combos where you need Hullbreaker Horror
so what I'm hearing
and
is
then rocks.
A high-powered deck that's going to get shit on cEDH. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, it does have stacks, and that's the thing. Like a lot of, I wouldn't call like cEDH stacks lists that just kind of win through combat and you know don't really have too many combos.
Sure.
If it's not, if it doesn't have blue and all the other colors, then this guy just hates on everything. And if it's got all 5 colors, then he hates on it even more. It's
says Nagila. Okay, so I guess I'll go back to my sample where I was talking about zombies. So if you have a blue-black Dimir zombie deck, right?
Scarab God.
Sure. A Scarab God. I don't know if that's. I don't think that's cEDH. Maybe it is.
It's Fringe.
I've never seen it. He probably runs Stasis Oracle, Torkoal combo, and he runs a bunch of card draw, right? It is a cEDH deck, but it's a really bad cEDH deck. You can call it French, or you can just be kind of upfront about it. It's just not top tier, so you can call maybe bad is not the best word, but to be friendly here.
I think Fringe is good because it shows that like it can be a cEDH deck. It's just not a great one.
Yeah,
like it's,
sure. So
it's on the edge.
We're using the same definition. I'm just using harsher language. It's a French deck. So
French?
Those kind of decks are still French or still cEDH.
A fridge.
Whatever. So I guess I don't even know what to do. I just got made fun of.
No, you're good, man. I just heard fridge, and I was just
French.
I heard a fridge deck, and then I thought of it reminded me of Yu-Gi-Oh. See, we're getting off topic.
Well, we've been off topic. We're like beating a dead horse because I think we are all in agreement, more or less, at this point, using that definition that we could have probably read beforehand. The more you know. We're amateurs.
I think so, but it was good. It was good to kind of get it out there of how we felt about it. I don't know. How do you feel about it, Nate? Because I know you came in, like, how do you like High Power just outside of defining it?
Like playing it?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I guess it's pod dependent. I mean, I don't want to be all snobby and like, I only play with my friends, but like, if I'm playing with guys that know the game and we can kind of keep a relatively quick pace while we play, then sure. But that's usually my problem now with like having transitioned more into cEDH, and the games tend to be quicker. That when I sit down with maybe less experienced people or people that aren't all cracked on cards like I am, then things are a little slower, their turns take longer, or you can just... I guess it's just slow play. But I mean, at the same time too, that comes from a point of like people like to hang out and just play cards and laugh and joke, and I guess I just kind of turn to edge where I'm just competitive and I want to try to beat everybody at the table, and good game,
yeah, with the focus
handshake.
Yeah, at the end of it.
So, but
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
almost like the focus goes away from it.
If I'm playing with friends and a group of people that I know and we're all kind of vibing and just chilling, then I don't know, High Power's cool. And I still have a buddy I play with online who's more into casual stuff, and I'll still get with him on spell tables sometimes, and we'll try to fill our pod with people we know versus playing with random people just because the camaraderie and the environment is more smooth and kind of, on par for with like a smooth game versus with you've got random people, you never know what's going to happen. I'm going to board wipe you. Cool. We'll spend 6 turns rebuilding our board. I'm going to board wipe. Right on. We'll spend 6 turns rebuilding our board, and then the next thing you know, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. We're trying to finish a casual game. Eek.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
yeah.
I think that's pretty good overall. Like, it kind of... We almost had a similar situation. Synergistic and I used to... Before the channel, we just play with our group of friends. And it never started off as cEDH, and we... I think along the way, we naturally made our way to high power. When we had, like some friend strategies and we weren't using the best cards. And then after a while, we just ended up going to cEDH. Like, I transitioned Azuri to Kennen. You ended up going to... Well, had Golos banned, actually, because you were playing Golos before. And then had a character crisis still to this day.
Yeah, I cry every
Still
day.
hasn't recovered from that.
I have not. It was like, after I got my mana crypt, I still remember this fucking vividly. The fucking Sheldon dude. Got salty that people pay goals too much. I was like, let's fucking ban this card. But yep, sorry.
There's still residue, there's still salt.
Yeah,
coming from that wound.
I'm in the salt mines when it comes to goals, which I guess we'll talk about banned stuff in a future episode and things we disagree with it. Goals is in there, and I had to go to play Jota after that. And then Arset, and then Dimitrasis, but nonetheless. I guess when it comes to me for high power, I guess I'm on the same boat as Nate. I prefer cEDH. I feel like anytime I'm playing high power, I'm just pulling punches. It's just I'm just not able to like win. Right? I'm playing freaking dinosaurs and dragons and like they're a dragon and whatnot. I do see that. I do think high power is more fun if you're having like more like a hangout kind of night versus cEDH. If you have like a bunch of drinks, chips or whatever, just eating and hanging out with the boys or girls. So I think that can be more fun for kind of like a party environment, more or less. I do lean towards cEDH. What about you, Mr. Reptile?
It does seem like, for what both of you were saying, that the social aspect of it really comes into play and like how you're going to enjoy these formats. Because I guess the social aspect of cEDH is being in the tournament and, getting through it efficiently, making sure that you're playing the game correctly and on point and as efficiently as you can. But it seems like the high power, a lot of what kind of smooths it over, because I don't think any deck is, cEDH kind of gives you that marker where every deck is going to be cEDH, but some, like in high power, some decks aren't going to be as high power as another. I mean, that's going to happen in cEDH too, but I think the difference is way wider. And you're often going to care less if you're just hanging out with your buds and be like, oh, okay, this deck's not doing that well right now, but we're having a good time. I'm drunk. Screw it.
Well,
yeah, like...
Even then, I feel like even like when we have our game nights too, we play cEDH most of the time. We still have our game nights, and I feel like those games are more fun. I guess if you haven't played cEDH, honestly, just try it. If you're like, I don't have that kind of money. If you have sticky notes and bulk cards, literally you can make a deck. I don't think your friends are gonna like get upset with you. It's just little cards. It is a much more fun experience, I think. Because the games finish so quickly, even though if they're thank you, Nate. Even if like
nice examples. What a deck.
Even if like you're like it feels repetitive, it honestly I don't think 2 cEDH games are the like. Even though you might win the same way, your opponents might interact with you different ways. Turn order matters, the cards in your hand matter. The actions your opponents take will be different almost every game. I guess that's from my perspective. I guess you go to more tournaments than I do. I guess I don't know if you feel like every game might be somewhat repetitive or like every game's the same.
I mean, I don't feel like every game's the same, and yeah, from game to game you'll get Thassa's Oracle, but sometimes it's turn 2, sometimes it's late game. On one of my Discord servers, Mardu, so red, black, and white are like taken over. Everyone's playing Dihada, Timna, Jessica, or Dargo and Timna. And I've lost to those decks on turn 2 multiple times. And then I've also, before I hopped on here to talk with you guys, I was in a game and I couldn't even tell you what turn it was. It just kept going and going and going. Gracios and Bruce wasn't doing nothing, Kennen wasn't doing nothing, and Tejada wasn't doing nothing. And Nimrus was just kind of controlling the board, just waiting to try to get that Thassa's Oracle win, and it just took a long ass time. So, I mean, sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different. I mean, that's... Most of the decks in the format run a couple different win cons. They're not all just on one win con. I think Najila, she has like 4 or 5 different ways she can win. I'm pretty sure like Tymna and Thrasios have a couple ways to win. So
sure.
Kennen, all he does is just puts big creatures into play and makes it miserable for everyone.
Sounds fun.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun.
A
couple different ones.
Okay, I guess that kind of gets us to a full circle of like our thoughts on cEDH versus high power and what our definition of high power is. I actually do think coming out of this conversation, I feel more comfortable to tell people what we think high power is versus just kind of like Google it.
Yeah, we didn't have this conversation for the content. We wanted to have this little brainstorming session of like, okay guys, these decks are obviously not the same. What's going on?
This is actually at MTG Basics round table to figure out how to make decks, and we just recorded as a podcast episode instead. Cool. So I guess I feel more comfortable, like I said, about what high power is. Do I like it more? cEDH is probably better. I do encourage it. Again, if you haven't tried cEDH, probably try it. It's like it's like once you try it, you can't go back. No, it really isn't. And if you're scared of like the atmosphere at a cEDH tournament, we actually partner up. Oh my god, segue. We've actually partnered up with our local game store to do a lot of recordings of the tournaments. So we actually stream most of their Saturdays cEDH tournaments. They're in their YouTube channel. So you'll be able to see the atmosphere at our local game store and at a cEDH tournament. Obviously, we can't say all the cEDH tournaments are the same. Different people can be treated differently, and different communities act differently. But you know, our cEDH tournaments, people listen to music, people hang out, we're very friendly. You can run into a couple assholes here and there, but that's honestly, at our store is a minimal. Yeah, it's pretty, you can find them anywhere in other stores. At least we're fortunate that it's not most people, it's a rare minority. But yeah, like I said, we're partnered up with our local game store. Cool guys, go check them out if you're ever in the Denver metro area. Level 7 games, highly recommend. Great staff, great environment, great people. Cool, so that is the partnership with our local game store. Nate, can you tell us about our other partnership?
Yeah, we work with Chaos Tournaments to help promote each other, so we're one of the channels that they promote on their Discord, and when they run their tournaments that are monthly, the next one should be in August, probably about mid-month. I'd say either the 12th or that following weekend for sure. And then we just give each other a shout out and help each other grow. So if you're looking to get into Swimcap tournaments, there is one in August for Chaos.
Awesome. Yeah, I know there was some spicy stuff happening at the last Mox Master, which we might have more thoughts on in future podcast. But yeah, with that, thank you everybody for watching. If you're still watching, let us know what you think about the conversation down below. I know we kind of went down a lot of circles. We're pretty natural. We don't like sit down and write a script beforehand. We kind of just wing it as we go, for better or for worst. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Leave your thoughts down below and stay basic.